just want to say about the blacklisting before I go on to Shrewsbury, that I managed to get hold of one of the so-called secret files belonging to the Economic League. And because it was secret, obviously the first thing I done was had 20 copies printed and sent to every bugger who was interested. But my name was in it, but at the side of it, my national insurance number is in italics. And Desi Warren's name and his insurance number is in it. But Desi Warren was so persecuted, he actually changed his name. And that name is in, and coupled with his real name and his national insurance number. But someone put me in contact with someone who worked for the Economic League as a young girl. And I've actually spoken to her on the phone. And she said, listen, whenever your name or Desi's name was sent in, it was red flagged. And we had to send a copy of the information to MI5 and the special branch. Now, these are just ordinary building workers. But what Dave was going on was a TV programme called True Spies. And that was about myself, Peter Hay and Arthur Scargill. And in the programme, I'm actually approached, speaking via the screen, to the spy that was seconded to look after me. And he called me a political thug. So how they've got any objection to saying that I was under surveillance or whatever, it's there for everyone to see. But during that programme, Arthur Scargill gives one of the best answers I've ever heard anyone give. It's wonderful. The interviewer said to him, Mr. Scargill, would you be surprised if I told you that during the miners' strike, 3 members of the NUM executive were in the pay of MI5? And Arthur Scargill said, I would be surprised. I thought it would have been a lot more than that. Because the man bloody knew. He knew it. Now listen, before, when I go, I brought some speeches here. These are speeches that Desi and I made from the dock before we were sentenced, because we were told if you make a speech, then your sentences will probably be doubled. So I hope you're going to take a copy away and read it, particularly some of the stuff in Desi's. But what I want to say is, I want to just show you what the building strike was about in 1972. And for any youngsters here, I just want to remind you that the building workers weren't out every month, every 6 months, or every 12 months. It was the one and only ever official building strike that took place in 1972. And we joined in and we had a good go. Now these photographs I'm going to show you now, I wish I could lay them out so you could have a proper look. That's the canteen on the site that I was working on. That's the McAlpine site. It's the bypass site. That's the actual canteen. And at the time I said McAlpine wouldn't be allowed to keep his horses in conditions like that. And I stand by that, because he wouldn't. And then when we actually got charged and taken to court, the security, now listen to this, the security for the trial at Shrewsbury was the biggest security there's ever been for any trial. I'm talking about the Crays, I'm talking about the Sims, I'm talking about the Irish Bombers. This is 6 building workers on trial. And there's the police, or some of the police, they were hiding a couple of miles away from the court. And there's more of them here. It's unbelievable. There's Desi Warren, boys and girls. There's Desi Warren after he came out of prison, after the treatment he received. Because I wear a T-shirt when I go round, and it's got "the state killed my mate." And I stand by that. What they've done to Desi Warren was appalling. It should never have happened. If it happened anywhere else, there'd be uproar. We'd be on the streets. If it happened in the Banana Republic or somewhere else in the Eastern Bloc, there would be murder. Desi Warren was a big, strong man when he went into jail. There we are, there's 2 young men going. And by the way, we didn't know each other. We didn't know each other. We're in jail like this, 6 of us, charged with conspiracy. I only knew Desi from the Action Committee. I didn't know him. I'd never been out with him. I'd never had a pint with him. Of course, we become very close when we went to jail, and we had the pact that we wouldn't do the business, that we wouldn't soldier, we wouldn't wear clothes. We went on hunger strike for 31 days until we got a letter, or a telegram, as it was in them days, of the Labour Party saying, come off the hunger strike, all's well, we'll have you out in 5 minutes. And Desi believed it, and that was part of the trouble with him. He actually believed that the Labour Party and the trade union movement would get us out of jail. Well, Desi was far more political than me, but I knew for a minute that it wouldn't. They've spent, in today's money, the trial cost approximately £15 million. £15 million to put 6 building workers in the dock. It's absolutely appalling. The trial lasted 55 days, and I was in the dock giving evidence for 3 days. It was appalling. During that time, one of the jurymen was ill, and I was allowed to go home, because I had a little old cottage which was renovated. It was pretty, you know, it was in a bad state, so he let me go home for the day, and they parked the police car outside the front door. No one was allowed in. No one was allowed out. That included the family, couldn't take the kids to school or whatever. That's what they done. We know from them days that our telephones were tapped. And I want you to see these photographs afterwards. You won't believe the amount of bloody police that there are. There's Desi just before we had to strap him into a wheelchair. Strap him into a wheelchair. That's at the Durham Miners Gala with Arthur Scargill. Who'd done it. And Arthur Scargill, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I know he always gets painted as a devil by the right-wing press. Arthur Scargill arranged for Desi Warren to go to Cuba and to have specialist treatment for nothing, courtesy of Castro or whatever Castro's regime, and he couldn't go because there was no aeroplane would take him because of his physical condition. Now, I could go on for yonks and yonks and yonks, but what they done to us was appalling. I'd never been in trouble with the police in my life. And when the strike was over, I was in charge of the Wrexham area, by the way, they came to see me, and he said, can we have a word? This is on the site. 2 detectives. I said, yeah. He said, listen, seen your background, we know where you come from. What we want you to do, there's going to be some charges here, because at the end of the strike, there was no charges. Nothing, no one got a caution at the name and address taken, anything, no one. 15 weeks later, they come to me on the site and say, listen, we want you to be a prosecution witness. I said, how can I be a prosecution witness? I was in charge of this here. I was in charge. Nothing happened unless I knew. I told them where to go and pick it. Oh, they said, well, we'll have to charge you, and that's what they did. So from no charges 15 weeks prior, we then get hit with 271 charges. 27 against Desi Warren and 21 against me. And of course, included in them charges is that magical word, conspiracy. So when we went to trial, as I say, I got there at 5 to 10 in the morning, went up the steps, the police were shoulder to shoulder, and I couldn't get in. And I went up, the fellow said, you can't get in there, mate, I'm sorry. I said, please, your fucking self, I'm not too keen on going in there. He said, he said, oh, you better go in there and go on. So that was the start of and it was a charade. It was a game. But when you don't know the game, when you've never played the game before, you don't know what to do. You just sit there and listen. Now, when we done the picketing, we went round these half a dozen sites, we were accompanied by 80 policemen. We were all in coaches, one from Wrexham, one from Chester, one from Liverpool, one from Oxford. And the police had a coach, and they went round with us, 80 coppers. Never took a name and an address, no one got cautioned, no one got arrested, nothing. But when it comes to the trial, they all come to give evidence. And I tell you what, I've done well as an actor. I've bluffed my way in. I bluffed my way in, and I've won all sorts of awards. I wasn't a patch on them policemen. They deserved a fucking Oscar. I was terrified. I didn't know what to do. I was shower the shit out of them. They were built like rugby players. They were built like rugby players. And you know what? They're a disgrace to the police force. They're a disgrace to the police force. If they'd have said on the day, come on, lad, and you know what? It reminds me of something. They see things with different eyes than us. I've watched that stuff on the television of Orgreave, and I'm ashamed. I'm ashamed when I see them policemen going in with batons, with masks, with helmets, with body texting gear against lads in dungarees, T-shirts and jeans, and one MP said, oh, them miners give as good as they got. They give as good as they got. They didn't have any coshes, helmets with visors on, or body gear to protect them. It's they see things with different eyes. But it was enough. But as I say, the jury went out, and they were out for a long time, and they couldn't come to a decision. And it was 8-4, they were split 8-4. But what they didn't know was the day the trial started, we were taken into what they call a holding cell. And the 6 of us are there, and two of our QCs come down. I'm not sure, but I think it was John Platts Mills and David Turner Samuels. They came down, and he said, listen lads, you've been offered a deal by the prosecution. Plead guilty, and you'll get fined 50 quid. The union have agreed to pay the £50, and you'll all be home for 12 o'clock noon. And the first 4 lads took the deal. Mackie Jones, Carpenter, Ken O'Shea, and John Clough. And they come to me, and I went, no, you're not on. No, I'm not. How can I plead guilty? I haven't done anything. The coppers were with us all day. So I wouldn't, and Desi said, don't even bother asking me. But give the other 4 their due. They said, well, OK, if you two are pleading not guilty, so are we. And that's why the 6 of us ended up in the dock. Now, that's very important, that what they said to us about the 50 quid deal, because it comes back later in the trial. Because after the jury were out, and don't forget now it's getting near Christmas, we're into December, they couldn't come to a decision. So the judge said, now look, what I want you to do is go to a hotel for the night, and carry on deliberating. It's illegal. You can't carry on deliberating in a hotel. You don't know who's listening. They could be having a drink. They could be falling out with each other. And that's one of the points that we made when we appealed the sentence. But the reply they gave was, no. What the judge meant was go to a hotel for the night and then carry on discussing the case the following morning. That's a load of crap. Because the following morning they came back into the jury room, and 10 or 15 minutes later they come out, 2 of them had changed their mind. So we got done on a 10-2 majority. And with that, the sentence in these lads, he got suspended, whatever. Mackie got a few months, I think. And then when it comes to me, 2 years on each charge, the jury foreman and his mate jumped up and started fighting, banging each other in the box. There's murder going on in the box. So the next thing is them 2 get up, run out and go into the jury room. Well, Desi hasn't been sentenced yet, so we had to send for them, because apparently he's got to be there while he gets sentenced. So these 2 lads had to be dragged back out, and then Desi got 3 years on each of them. So later on we found out that what had happened is, when they'd come back in the following morning after spending the night away, they'd gone into the jury room, and the court usher said to them, don't know what all the fuss is. Don't know why you're wasting time. It's getting near Christmas, and we've already been told if they get found guilty, they're only getting fined 50 quid, and the union's going to pay it. Exactly what we were told, and 2 of them fell for it. And how do we know this? The foreman of the jury told our wives as they left the court, as we were getting banged up, he come out, he was standing there crying. And his son is on, he helps out with the thing. But anyway, that was it. We went in, we'd done the business. But as I say, I'll never forgive them. I'll never forgive them for what they'd done to Desi Warren. Desi Warren and I were 2 different characters. I had a different sense of humour, and I probably had a bigger mouth, because people thought I was Desi Warren, and he was Ricky Tomlinson. Well, let me tell you this, I've never been in jail before. But listen to this, because I couldn't believe it. But we spent most of the time, as I say, in solitary confinement. But in the first prison we went in, can't remember now whether it was Stafford or wherever it was. So I'm in a cell, and Desi's down the block, he's in a cell over there. And 8 o'clock in the morning, or 7 o'clock in the morning, whatever it was, they opened the gate and said, get out here, bring your shit. They took the bed out, and the chair out, and threw a bucket of water on the floor, so you couldn't sit down. That's here, in this. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. And here's the mentality of them. They'd bring in, say, the Morning Star, and it'd have a little thing like that in the corner. Support the pickets, the jail pickets, and they'd put that out. You'd open the page and there's a fucking full-size photograph of us. And they'd put that little piece out the corner. It was unbelievable what went on. So as I say, we've been at it for years, and we've been to the Court of Appeal and we're doing all that. And they're taking the mickey out of us because, unfortunately, some of the committee believe in the legal system. And I don't from the dirty tricksy part. So I'll just read you one little thing here, and it's here for you to say after if you want to. This is from the Cabinet Office on November the 20th, 2012. Now, the committee chairman had a meeting just after this with Mike Bennington, who was the Justice Secretary. And this is a letter, I think it's from Glenn Preston, and it's got the subject, the Shrewsbury pickets, importance high. The Justice Secretary has now seen the document and is content to sign off the response. Shall I ask our private office to shred them, or would you like these brought back to you? They were shredding the documents before the meeting to discuss the documents. And as I say, I've made copies of all these, and I want you to come and have a look at them. Now, as I say, I've been very, very lucky, got into show business, been all over the world, and I want to tell you something which, it tickled me at the time. I was driving along the road, I've got a new car, but it's not a big posh one, kid. It's a Skoda. It's brand new. And there was a fella called Tony Legend. And when we come out, we were in jail for 5 months, then come out for 5 months, then went back in. Tony Legend got us on this job. I was a joint labourer, and Desi was something else. And he was a wonderful fella. And I'm driving home, just wherever I've been in this new car, but as I say, it's only a Skoda. And Tony's standing near the bus stop like that. And he's soaking, it's teeming, and there's rain dripping off him. Dripping. And I pulled up at the bus stop and said, Tony, get in. He went, no, he said, covered in bloody sawdust, Rick. He said, I'm soaking wet. I said, get in. He said, I said, Tony, it's an old car. Bloody well, get in. And he went, oh. Honestly, the rain was dripping off him, you know. So we get him, we're driving along. He said, what have you been up to? I said, I've just come back from South Africa. He said, I've just been doing a movie with Sacha Baron Cohen, Johnny Vegas, Mark Strong, staying in a wonderful hotel. Chauffeur-driven cars take us backwards and forwards to work. Someone comes in every morning with a menu, see what you want for your lunch. You get $75 a day to get your evening meal. They said, and now and again, if you feel a little bit stiff, someone to give you a massage. And he went, well, don't you miss the building? I love him. But anyway, listen, I have been the luckiest guy in the world. But what I wanted to do, I wanted to have a documentary made, not just for my sake, but for my children's sake and my grandchildren's sake, and for your grandkids' sake. I wanted them to see what went on, what was the truth, what was fact, what was fiction. And at every hurdle, we've been knocked back, and not only by the authorities. Sometimes it's people who you think would have been on our side. So I just want to finish this by saying this. Listen, I'm 78. I feel as fit as a fiddle. I've got loads of fight left in me. I'm going to make a documentary now, if it costs me every penny I've got. And if you want to help me, if you've got any photographs, any messages, anything, if you just want to support us, get in touch. The truth has got to come out about Shrewsbury, and it will before I die. God bless you, and thanks for listening. Thank you.